Well, hello there. How is everyone? I hope you're all well on this terrific Thursday. I hope it is terrific, by the way, and you're looking terrific. So, Idaho 4.2, as I keyed it, which was the Majorjon Kaylor case. This was the case of the young man who would go into his neighbour's home and execute the entire family, seemingly because the one of the family members, sort of a teen, the older of the two sons, who had difficulties, which we'll get into shortly, had been shaking his one-eyed trouser snake at the children, Majorjon's young daughters, and his wife, and Majorjon apparently snapped. That's debatable whether he snapped, but there's some things that sort of make you question as to what your tolerance would be of the situation. I don't think the vast majority of us would go that far, because that was an extreme reaction. But was there failings here? But it's brought to a conclusion as Majorjon Kaylor is finally sentenced for his crime. So we have a quick look at it. So, let me have a look. He says quick look at it and then doesn't press it. So, Idaho man who executed paedophile and his family after teen allegedly exposed himself to kids gets life. I like the way that the Inside Edition have gone balls deep in executed paedophile and his family. Not sure how that's going to go down well when the extended family. It's grey area. Obviously, the guy had, or the young man had issues, but uncomfortable with that. The killings occurred a few days after Kaylor's wife, Kaylee, indicated in a Facebook post that Devon Smith, 18, had exposed himself and was shaking his one-eyed trouser snake and doing the five-knuckle shuffle through a window in front of her and her juvenile daughters. When you've got to go, you've got to go. An Idaho man who confessed to murdering a family after alleging their teenage son was a paedophile, well, clearly, Inside Edition they've gone with him on that, will serve life in prison without the possibility of parole. So yeah, he got life without the possibility of parole. He did, however, escape the death penalty, which, being in Idaho, this crime actually fit all of the killed 4 people, entered into a house, executed 4 people, escaped the death penalty. Now, I do feel there's potential that was taken off the table due to some mitigating circumstances around it, such as that this had been reported to law enforcement and they had not done anything. Now, I was led to believe that he had gone to law enforcement more than once. That is because he had said that he'd been to them twice. That is refuted in this and said that he actually only reported it once. It may say it in this one. I've read a few different articles. I don't know whether this is the one, but bear with me. Let's continue. A judge sentenced Majorjon Kaylor 32, and he's got life without the possibility of parole. Fucking hell. On Monday, just 4 months after he agreed to a deal that saw him enter a guilty plea to 4 counts of murder in exchange for the prosecutors agreeing to downgrade the charges from first to second degree murder, according to a mediated settlement agreement obtained by Inside Edition Digital. Prosecutors also agreed to drop the burglary charge in exchange for Kaylor's plea, according to the agreement, which the defendant, his lawyer, the prosecuting attorney, and the judge all signed off earlier this week. But I fucking don't get it. So, yeah, if I say I did it, you will say that I didn't. The burglary, we'll take that off the table. We'll get rid of that. And also, we'll downgrade it from first degree to second degree murder. Is that okay? Yeah, sweet. I did it. Thank you. Life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. How could that have gone any better? What would he have got if he hadn't have done that then? Life without the possibility of parole and continued imprisonment beyond death? Obviously, like I say, the death penalty had been taken off the table unless they could have said, well, actually, fuck it, we'll bring that back. But would that be arguably better than life without the... I don't see how that... Funny old laws. Prosecutors also agreed to drop... Oh, yeah, I've read that. The family of victims Kenna Guadapi, her father Kenneth Guadapi, and her sons Devon and Aiken Smith also approved of this deal, with 8 members signing off on the agreement. Again, I just don't see how that benefited him in the slightest. Kaylor's defence attorney, Christopher David Schwartz, asked the court to consider the possibility of parole in this case, but failed to convince Judge Barbara Duggan, who handed down her sentence after a number of those hearing friends and family of the victims read from some of the 13 impact statements, which we went over the other day. Submitted by prosecutors last week. Joe Guadapi, the brother of Kenneth, was among those who read from their statement in court on Monday. He addressed Kaylor directly in a statement saying, "You said you snapped. Did you snap when you told a co-worker you were going to do something that would get you in trouble later?" Good point. Did you snap when you loaded 2 magazines to the maximum with ammunition? Did you snap when you strapped on a semi-automatic pistol? Did you snap when you crept around casing the apartments looking for the victims prior to the incident? Did you snap when you confronted them and continuously pulled the trigger until both magazines were empty? Again, I agree. This wasn't kind of a saw red. He'd gone up there and literally saw red. He obviously went there with a weapon. So there was some premeditation there, certainly 100%. It's whether... I'll carry on reading. He closed out his statement by writing, "What a man you are. Not only did you destroy my family, but yours as well." Kaylor allegedly confessed to the murders multiple times on the night of his arrest. A previous response filed by prosecutors in the case said that Kaylor called 911 shortly after all 4 members of the Guadapi Smith family were shot dead and said, "This is Majorjon Kaylor. I went downstairs and executed a fucking paedophile and his family." The dispatcher then tried to clarify Kaylor's statement by asking if he shot someone. According to the motion, to which the suspect replied, "I shot 4 people and they're all dead." A medical examination determined that both Kenna and Kenneth were likely shot in the chest and fell to the ground, according to the response. Once on the ground, both were shot in the head with a single bullet fired from a gun that appeared to be pressed directly to their temples, according to the response. The killings occurred a few days after Kaylor's wife, Kaylee, indicated what had happened. The police had responded to the incident, investigated according to the affidavit of probable cause due, but 5 days later, Kaylor confronted Kenna and Kenneth about Devon. Prosecutor, in the response that Kaylor told detectives, they were saying there's nothing you can do about it. He, Devon, can do whatever he wants. They were smugger than fuck. There is no way to politely say, there was no remorse. There was no, we're sorry, or, yeah, it's a problem and we're working on it. Nothing. Kaylor went on to claim that the two told him that he could not do anything about it, according to a response, at which point he told detectives, "So I did something about it." After allegedly shooting Kenna and Kenneth, Kaylor then moved inside the house where police believe he first killed 16-year-old Aiken, who was shot point-blank on their point-blank range, lying on the floor in a prone position, and finally Devon Smith, according to probable cause affidavit filed in the case. So he basically killed... Again, there's some premeditation there. It would appear that he basically made this lad who done what he did watch him execute his entire family, then killed him. Devon had been shot multiple times from close range. The police believe that Kaylor would have likely had to deliberately change magazines and or reload magazines in order to continue shooting and discharge the number of rounds which were identified to have been fired during the homicide, says the affidavit. Police also note in the probable cause affidavit that they found both blood and tissue on the pistol, consistent with close range shots. Lawyers for Kaylor and prosecutors are both unable to comment on the case due to a non-dissemination order that bars any lawyers or members of law enforcement involved in the case from speaking on the media. And again, I would imagine that is the case because there is potentially an element of where law enforcement fucked up. regardless of how many times he went there, the guy did go to law enforcement initially. He's gone to law enforcement and said, look, I've got a problem. I've got a wife and 2 young daughters, and the neighbour is showing his one-eyed trouser snake through the window and waggling it about at him, and I want it to stop. I need you to stop this. And apparently they'd done nothing. They'd considered some misdemeanor charges on it, but they hadn't been filed even at the time that this happened. It seems that they potentially tried to start the paperwork on the day that this happened. But what do I? It's all over. It's done. Will there be an appeal? I don't know. Will he get anywhere? I don't know. Will he get to turn over the fact that he may later get out, maybe in the distant future when he's old and grey? It's a tragic story, this. I feel it was 100% avoidable. A lot of lives lost, families ruined, and for what? Poor fucking police work, paired with someone who obviously was a slight psychopath. But anyway, let me know down below what you think, and I will catch you all tomorrow.